Hey, I'm being sued for $160 million. I mean, how much more can they get?
That's just read a name and sign and
It's very professional. Who's excited about getting $1.32 an hour right now? My pay went from 60 cents a mile to 32. Tell me how that works.
freedom protest.
I actually started it back in 2022. Nowhere did I give up my right to work over a vaccine. If you won't take a vaccine, you won't get on a train, a plane, or an automobile and sit beside the unvaccinated and put us at risk. I think that was the day we nearly lost our TV because I stood up and I screamed back at the TV, "Oh no, we need a convoy. Enough. The program's not working. It needs to be dismantled and restarted." But who started it? A female. How am I misogynistic? Yeah, so they should be a little worried.
That's a big point. I think we should expand on this. So I just need 30 seconds of your time for two things. One, I want to thank everybody who watches the show and has subscribed to our channel. It does help us a lot. It's a free thing to do to subscribe or like our show, but it does help us a lot on our end. Secondly, if you have not done so far, please join the 31% of the people that come regularly to watch this show. And if you enjoy the show and you tell us that you enjoy the show, this is going to make us even do better. We do this show for the love of trucks and trucking, and we genuinely feel truckers and overall trucking industry needs a lot of attention. And we do this on our own. There is nobody involved in this show. And if you help us, we don't need anybody. And we want to thank you once again for watching and just supporting us in this journey. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Welcome to the Truck Stop Show. Today I'm joined by Bridgette, who is a truck driver.
Yes.
And she is also an author of a book called Consequences Inside Freedom Convoy. So she was one of the leading figures in the freedom protest.
I actually started it in southwestern Ontario back in 2022, based off the CBSA strike when they left us sitting 14 hours on the bridges. So, I had designed and planned and started the trucker convoy out in southwestern Ontario.
We'll talk to her about trucking, modern day trucking in Canada, and also some of the stuff she's done. She's got a big portfolio, so we'll try to keep it in an hour. Bridgette, first of all, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
So tell us, how long have you trucked?
I got my license on December 19th, 2014. And that was a great experience. The guys, my instructors were fantastic. Apparently, my hair smelled good. I don't know, but that was a topic. Another topic was how many phone books I needed to look over the steering wheel. That was a daily
Were they making
thing.
these jokes with you?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's inappropriate.
Maybe today. I don't know.
It's only 10 years ago.
Yeah, like 10 years has come a long way. I mean, I
Yeah.
think there's even some female trucker spots in certain places in certain truck stops now because, they want to make sure we're okay.
Yeah.
Back then it was like throw you to the wolves and hope you guys made it out, right?
So let's discuss, why did you get into trucking? What was the motivation there?
I was leaving my husband. I was getting injured at work as well. I was a
What work was it?
I was a fitness instructor for the city of Ottawa. I had torn my knee, had heart issue, and I was leaving my husband. So I needed a place to live. I needed an income that would support me, and a job that didn't take too long to get into. And back then we didn't have melts. So I think I started in October, was done by Christmas.
Now, so how did you research that this is something you should get into?
Oh,
Was
when
it
I told my
discussion?
sons I was going into trucking, they said, finally, a job that matches your mouth. And I was just looking at them like horrified. My children thought of me this way, but apparently. And
It's your thought?
that was my kids, yeah.
No, your thought to get into trucking. Nobody's kind of doing the influence there.
No, nobody did.
There's no kind of discussing kind of what is.
No.
You're just sitting there. Let's get
Well,
into
I
truck.
drove school bus at the time too.
Mhm.
So, I mean, it's not really that much of a step up. Um, and I thought, okay, I already have a Z. I already had my air endorsement.
Mhm.
Because with some of our brakes, we had air over electric and you still needed your air brake endorsement.
Correct.
So, I already had that. So I just needed the A, right? It was a
Mhm.
simple jump up.
Mhm.
So no, nobody talked me into it. Uh, and I loved to drive. So I would pick up kids that start at 6 a.m. on the school bus and I'd drop them off and then it's March break. So I'd take my kids, throw them in the car, and we'd be in Myrtle Beach by morning.
Mhm.
So that's the kind of the job,
Mhm.
really. So
Mhm.
I love to drive.
So when you were getting into trucking, did you have a sense what are you going into?
Oh no. No.
Do you just think it's a job? I really want to focus on your trucking career as a female, and also I want to. So then we can lead into our conversation, lead into your book, and some of the things you've done in your life. So, so yeah. So what are you thinking when you're getting into trucking? What's going through your head?
Oh, I thought I was a paid tourist. Boy, was I wrong. You got dispatchers screaming, you got brokers screaming, you got everybody wanting you to be everywhere right away. And you're like, but I just want to look at the 50,000 silver coins at this like truck stop. You don't have time for that. So if you're smart, you keep a little notebook or mental note of all the places you'd like to go visit that you drove by while you were trucking.
Mhm. So basically, as a trucker, you're not a tourist.
You're not a tourist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is your image now after driving for 10 plus years?
It depends on what day you ask me. Some days I'm like, I'm living the dream. And then other days I'm like, oh my God, what's wrong with this industry? Everybody's so mean. Everybody's, negative. And nobody's doing anything. So,
Bridgette, I want to stop you there. This is the exact reason I do this show. I share this opinion. I think this in the industry needs a lot of attention. People who do have whatever, they don't do the job. They don't represent truck drivers. They do not, kind of present their story. They do not just use them. Use
yes,
them out the window.
we're just as valuable as freight on the truck, off the truck. Yeah.
Much.
It's the seat is empty. Another monkey will be there tomorrow, right? Why do we need all these schools? Why is the overturn so high? The overturn is so high because of the way you're treating your drivers. You have a high overturn. You're either not paying them, you're messing with their pay scales. You expect them to live their life in your truck.
Mm-hmm.
You don't respect home time. You don't respect their personal needs. I mean, I've had a dispatcher ask me why I needed after 4 days to hit a truck stop because I had been in the backwoods in Montana and Utah. I'm like, I was literally blunt. I'm like, it's that time of the month and I can smell me outside the truck. I'm sorry for your viewers, but
No, it's all good.
that's exactly like you cannot treat people like we're cattle.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we're treated.
Now, I want to make this clear here. Bridgette is a long haul truck driver. She is she goes for what month?
We're out 3 weeks to a month.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's a long time to be away from home.
And then we're only home 4 days.
4 days?
4 to 5 days, yeah.
So now long haul there you don't meet too many long haul truck drivers anymore. There's a lot of people that want to do regional work or or they want to do local work. And okay, so what's so fascinating about long haul?
If you want money, you're not sitting in a yard shunting trucks. If you want good pay, you're not jumping across the border and waiting in those lines for hours. You don't get paid while you're sitting there unless you're hourly. How many of us are hourly, right? So I when we're stuck in traffic or an accident, it's like, who's excited about getting $1.32 an hour right now? And the CB always lights up. right? And that's me out there. Hi, guys. But I mean, like, you have all these guys out there working for nothing. They're getting no pay.
On ours?
And ours and right,
Miles? Yeah.
because they're sitting in traffic, waiting at the border, going to inspection, whatever it is, and they're doing regional work, right? Are we at meat inspection? Oh yeah, for half a day and you're not getting paid. You got to be happy about that, right? So, I mean, regional, you waste a lot of time. Now, of course, it depends on who you work for, right? But I do reefer work. So that means I'm sitting at inspection stations, I'm sitting here, I'm sitting there. If my whole week is sitting back and forth on a 3 or 500-mile run, I'm not making any money.
Explain it to the people when you say you do reefer work. What do you mean by that?
So I drive refrigerated. And see, I always assume people know. Even when I was doing my book, they were like, well, what's a reefer? No, it's not what you smoke. It's, it's a refrigerated trailer. So I carry food. I carry anything that will spoil. Paints sometimes need to be refrigerated. Inks need to be refrigerated so they don't freeze. So refrigerating or heating.
Now, and you mentioned inspections. So kind of explain this to people as well.
Well, if you're doing like beef or pork or chicken, you have inspection on both sides of the border. So you do your USDA inspection, and you're sitting there, and some guy with a light is yelling at you, "Don't park here." Yeah, I don't like that guy. And he's, and then you go in, and he ignores you while you go through the paperwork process. And then maybe 2-3 hours later, you'll get a dock. They inspect the product. Then they put it back on your truck. Then you have to wait for clearance, right? So
Painful, isn't it?
A lot of hurry up and wait, right? And then, yay, I get to go. 43 minutes to the border to cross, to wait on the other side to see if you have to be re-inspected by Canada. Which could then be, well, they've closed, they're not open anymore. So now you got to waste a day and got to start in the morning again. And then you redo that whole process all over again. And then you go down the highway. So if I had to do that as a regional driver, I would make zero money.
Now, Bridgette, you know why I had you explain all this? So people can understand the food we go grab from the grocery store. Where does it come from? There's a person being literally dogged around like that to bring you that food. So this is how important trucking is.
So why your chicken is $26, I have no idea. Yeah. I'm not getting it. Yeah. I'm not getting it. At best, I get, at worst case scenario, I get 60 cents a mile. Worst case scenario with my company. If the load pays a little more, I get a little bit more. So I get a bonus. But it doesn't cover all that waiting time, Now, that's
Bridgette,
out the window.
The percentage of women in trucking is very low.
Yes, it is.
It's only 3% in Canada, and probably...
Did it drop again?
It's just around that number. I said approximately, right?
It was 6% when I got into this.
I think it's around 3%. Anyway, so let's the center figure. Let's say 4%.
All right.
I mean, it can go up and down. Can we check, Mr. Producer, please? Yes. So now, is it a good trade for a woman to get into?
Absolutely.
So
absolutely. Now, I would say
4%. You just checked.
4%. Yeah, that's what I heard when I was at Matt's. But if you're really passionate about driving and you're okay with the long hours, you like to be alone, you like to be in your own head, if you can use AI tools while you're driving to create other things, because women are creative.
Not while driving.
No, yeah, while driving. You don't have to touch. It's totally hands-free.
Oh, never mind then. You're good. Okay.
Right?
So I thought you were doing one of those.
No. It's total hands-free. Gotcha. You talk to your AI partner.
Okay.
He calls him my best friend
Not that updated, right?
Yeah, no. So, and remember, I came from a computer background with my ex-husband, so...
Hang on a second. Let's put this in perspective. So, Bridget was in business, software business, computer business,
Yeah, for 23 years.
and
Yeah.
then she was the fitness coach at the same time, right?
Yeah, and a bus driver. Yeah.
And a bus driver, and then she quit all that and she got into trucking.
I know.
In let's say mid age.
I was 40. Yeah, 40 something.
Yeah, mid age.
40
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're saying it worked for you, and you're suggesting it to other, you know.
Yeah, and I would. I especially young women that have no responsibilities. If you don't have children yet, jump into trucking. I mean, this industry, if you're smart, could make you a millionaire by the time you're done. However, that doesn't mean you're owning a truck. Don't own a truck. That now you're minus a millionaire. Okay, so if you got in here and you put in what your boss puts in and into a TFSA, you can start learning about stock market trades at 30% or 60% over the time of your lifetime of trucking. You're walking away with money in your pocket. If you're smart like my husband and I, we bought a house and we bought it low outside the city. So quite often we drove 4 hours to work each way. Okay. So from our small little Southwestern into Guelph, into Toronto, but we're gone for 4 weeks, right? So 3, 4 weeks. So it's the same as a weekly commuter, right? But we bought the house low and it was a duplex. So we have an income later when we retire, right? So if you plan yourself right, your trucking career can set you up for a very good life. If you don't plan, we know what happens to those that don't plan. So,
So what kind of implications do you have on your health? Because you have fitness background, so
Yeah.
nobody can answer this question better than you. As a long haul truck driver, you're sitting for long hours,
Yep.
and you are a fitness person historically. And
I
I'm sure you.
was. I'm not
Well, I
now.
mean,
Yeah.
you have the knowledge.
I do.
You have the
Yeah.
knowledge. So, kind of guide us on that.
L4 and L5 will narrow. You'll end up with problems with your lower back, upper back, neck. Move, stretch, get out every 2 hours. And I do that because now I'm older and my bladder won't let me go too much further. But, get out, stretch, walk, do a walk around while you're driving. Toe raises, heel raises, continuously move.
So the people who get into trucking and they probably don't even sometimes do 10 years and they're in a very bad shape. And mainly I think it's because they don't have the understanding of how to maintaining their health as a truck driver. And I don't think there's a lot of support out there. To a lot of companies, they would have a gym in their terminal, and then
And nobody uses them.
nobody, well, they're not on the terminal anyway. If they're going to the terminal, they're going home. You know,
No.
yeah, so it's just there. There's no proper guidance. Somebody said to me, it was their mom's job to tell them to eat healthy. Probably, but now this person is in trucking. He or she is focused on trucking.
Right.
So they probably need a refresher every here and there.
I grew up with a mom that didn't teach nutrition. So there's a lot of people like myself out there. We had no clue. And then if you follow Canada's food guide of 2,000 calories a day, you're actually going to maintain or put on weight. You should be at about 1,440 calories a day. You should be doing a 30-20 split. And you know what? This is what I'm talking about, AI. I realized I had put on a few extra pounds over this winter. And I said, AI, we need to take it off. We're 30 days on the road. This is what's in my fridge.
Mm-hmm.
What are we eating today? Well, I ended up with fish, which I had. We had cucumber slices and tzatziki sauce. I mean, the meals I made, that 30 days talking with my AI partner, I don't feel like cooking, so what am I eating, right? All those days that you don't feel like doing it, a partner and I, we worked it out. Don't eat bars. We ate fiber bars. We're very careful. And we stay within that 1,440. And I came back and it was 2 pounds later. So, hey,
There we go. It worked.
it worked.
Now, Bridgette, how does your so you're leaving for a load today, let's say, what are you taking with you from your house,
I'm packing my groceries.
and what is it?
The list of groceries,
Mhm.
I'm definitely carrying grapes because you can cross border.
Mhm.
Apples, you can cross border.
Mhm.
Tzatziki sauce. Why? Because that goes on everything.
Mhm.
It's like hot sauce. I'm taking Highliner fish. I'm taking cooked sweet potato, vegetables, frozen fruit, which are forbidden to be taken across if they're fresh.
Now, okay, so can you please guide my audience here? So, what is forbidden and why is forbidden?
Certain fruits and vegetables, like oranges, can't be brought across. You used to be able to peel them and take them across. They don't allow that at all anymore
Do you know the reason for that?
because they're worried about infestation in their own fields.
Mm-hmm.
So they want to make sure that we don't bring bugs across, we don't bring certain diseases across for their crops,
Mhm.
and that we kill them. So they don't allow stuff like that. Oranges is one of them. There's a whole list. You can find them at CBP or CBSA. And if you are a fast card holder, you need to know those rules.
Now, fast card is a card that, as a truck driver, you can get. It doesn't let you go fast. It's just free. Hang on, let me get this. Free and secure trade. FAST. Yes, free and secure. See, I got it.
Right.
Free and secure trade, and you apply it with the border services in Canada and the U.S., and you kind of get this card, and then
You're
so you don't have to
interviewed.
interviewed and
Yeah,
fingerprinted.
fingerprinted.
And then you don't have to
yeah.
take your passport. But you can
Right.
only use this on the truck. You can't use this for personal trips.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
And we found that out recently because we had in the past. And recently they just said, no, where's your passports? I'm like, so glad we brought them. But yeah, and you can't fly with them. It's not a Nexus card. So
Correct. Yeah.
it's just for trade.
Correct. Just for the
And
trucking. Yeah.
That doesn't mean you get to drive the third lane at the border.
Mm.
It doesn't mean.
I think you want to say something. Go ahead.
Yes, you don't get to drive the third lane at the border. You don't get to go in the fast lane if you don't have a fast load. And there are a lot of people mad at you people that do that.
So it's for the truck drivers, what you just said. Those who drive in the third lane thinking they can beat everybody. Actually, at Windsor, I heard they were dinging people for this.
I hope so.
So there's
I
some
hope so.
enforcement on that.
I can tell you there's probably like maybe the thickness of your binder between me and a truck ahead of me. When I see buddy that jumped down the third lane, wants to come into my lane because he needs to get over before the booth. Oops, so sorry. Yeah, I'm probably worse than most
It's okay.
guys.
I mean, you gotta
actually.
stand up for yourself.
I'm probably worse than most guys, but they look in the window and go, "Oh, it's a girl. She'll let us in." And it's like, "Yeah, no, sucker, that's not this one."
Now, Bridgette, back to your lunchbox.
Right.
So you take a whole bunch of veggies, and now, do you run out?
Oh, absolutely.
So because you're gone for, let's call this a month. You're gone for a month.
Yeah.
And
It's probably about a week's worth of food.
Mm-hmm. What do you do then?
Oh, exit 146 is Walmart in Michigan. That's up on the 96, 94, 69. 69.
69.
Right. So exit 146. And if you're out of something that you need, like, you need containers or food or whatever, there's also a thrift shop on the other side of the Walmart. You can hit that for basics that you don't want to spend a lot of money on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
now, so you kind of reload what, 3 times, 4 times?
2 to 3 times. It depends. I'm terrible for eating.
Like you don't eat too much?
I don't eat.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather suck on gummy bears or.
No, that's bored eating.
No, that's just like my day. That and coffee. If I'm having a busy day, having me stop to actually make a sandwich is an effort.
So do you cook in the truck?
Oh, yeah.
So
I have a frying pan.
So you got a frying pan in the truck?
Frying pan.
A fridge?
A microwave, and I have a kettle.
Mm-hmm. So you, if you were stuck someplace, you can do stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, and the kettle I just got is amazing. It actually collapses to about this big, and then you pull it up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's great.
Nice. Bridget, I kind of personal question. I know your husband is a truck driver too.
Yes.
Why do you not choose to drive with him as a team?
Have you ever been in a man's truck? Like, ew, they smell bad. No, actually, my husband's truck is probably nicer than mine because I drive with a co-driver. His name is Mac, and he's a 3-year-old husky. So when you put the three of us into a truck, it becomes even smaller. I can't sleep when someone else drives. He can't sleep. My husband can't sleep when someone else drives. We teamed for 2 weeks. Oh my Lord. It was bad. I was driving a W9. Well, we were driving in my W9. No, your W9, I think it was. I don't know which one. But anyways, we were at the same company. Um, and I have a problem where my hand is faster than my foot. So I drove with the Jake brake on. So when I switched, it would slow the truck down enough that my hand and foot would be in sync. My husband, on the other hand, don't drive like that. He drives without the Jake brake on. So every time we'd switch, first you got the mirror adjustment, then you got the seat adjustment, then you've got the truck that sounds like two newbies got a hold of it because right, because neither of us can shift the way the other one drives. And then we're like, oh, and hit the button, she left the Jake brake on or he took it off, right? Although he fixed me or broke me, I'm not sure which, but after 2 weeks, I was driving without it. But yeah, and it's just a small space. And to get up in the morning, I'm not a morning person. I'm an afternoon person. So don't talk to me until I've had my coffee, walk the dog, and had a smoke, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just don't.
Mm-hmm.
And he's up and he's cheerful. Hey, babe, do you want to? And I'm like, get out. So I love him. And that's exactly what I told my dispatch. I love him. I want to continue to love him. So
separate us.
yes. And they said, well, you're losing your job. So we both ended up getting fired over it because
they wanted you to do the team driving?
Yes. And we weren't even married or at the time. We were just dating. And I had brought him to the company. I had been there first.
Mm-hmm.
And so they let us go.
So companies really like when couples come in and drive together for them, right? So they can make more money.
Yeah, it's all about them.
Yeah.
But my pay went from 60 cents a mile to 32. Tell me how that works.
Mm-hmm.
So if he slacks, I get less money because it's paid on both drivers, right? The 32 cents. So if he only drives 8 hours instead of 10, because he didn't get a good night's sleep the night before, because I was rolling around or I hit too many bumps or he fell out of the bunk because I was mad at him and I hit the brakes,
Bridget, tell me, as a female truck driver,
Yeah.
what are some of the challenges you face or you did face, but you don't face them anymore? So make a list for me.
Oh, guys thinking they can put their hands in my pockets and leave their phone numbers. Guys constantly asking me what I'm doing after work. You know what? The one guy that said to me, he goes, wow, you look nice. I was like, cool. And I looked at him and I went, you could be my son. And I kept walking, right? But there's flattery and then there's what is it, spring? There- and yeah, I mean, just be flattering.
Mm-hmm.
If you want our attention, just be flattering. But I'm very married,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not what I'm on the road for.
Right. So the one is people hitting on you.
Yeah.
What else?
The fact that I am targeted or viewed far harder than any man. I make a mistake, it's 10 times the problem for me.
That's a big point. I think we should expand on this.
Yeah. So not only am I hard on myself, but when I come across other women in the industry, I'm hard on them. Because if we're not perfect, we're bad, right?
Only because of the gender?
Only because of our gender.
Mm-hmm.
The guys will pick at us. They'll laugh at us. They'll do 100 things to us that they would never do to their male counterpart.
This is so sad.
Right?
This is so sad.
It is sad, but it's
and this industry,
reality.
because it's a male-dominated industry, and there's of course there's jokes about women driving and this and that. But I mean, I worked with some women truck driver. I mean, they don't do any less.
Hey,
Yeah.
according to industry standards in insurance, you would rather hire a woman over a man because on a one-to-one basis, we are in less accidents and less incidents. Why? Because we're not cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
We have a different wiring.
Mm-hmm.
Men are like, go, 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 go. Women are like, I have my husband at home. I have my kids at home. I have my grandkids at home. I have to get home. Whereas guys don't even have that. There's no fear to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And some of the positives about as a female person being in trucking.
I met some amazing people right out of the gate. Brian Orth from Ohio. He's a longstanding friend, taught me everything he knew. Ross Monroe out of the UK now, former military, former cop, former truck driver. Him and a group of his friends, Brian or Bill, myself, we had the Truckers' Rights Group that we put together.
And where was that?
That was in the U.S. It was the American Truckers' Rights Group. And
Is there such thing in Canada?
I was the Canadian advocate for it.
Mm-hmm. But there's no like
It's
registered.
No, we weren't even doing registration. We were actually we wrote a Bill of Rights for truck drivers.
Can you remember some of the points?
Yeah. Every truck driver had the right to know when they were expected home time and expected return time. Every truck driver had the right to have a clean mattress and cab upon entry into that truck. Every truck driver had the right to fair pay, compensation, and no deductions. I mean, there are
fair things.
These are all fair things.
Fair things, yeah.
So if you could have companies sign up on this Bill of Rights, could you imagine having a star on the wall when your potential candidates came in and you got a star from the American Truckers' Rights saying that you are a preferred company to work for because you meet the following truckers' rights?
And where did it go?
I still have it. We just have had no traction. Nobody wants to work with us on it.
This is even more sad. So now, all of these things you just talked about, these were just a few points, just maybe 2-3 points you talked about.
Yeah.
This can be a list of things that can be called.
I think there was 56 maybe on the list.
So there's a lot of things that I can probably sitting here. This company I worked for, the one time, it was a chemical company. And then I remember I asked them to get us the uniform services. So because I didn't want to take any chemicals home. And the company refused. So now imagine, the point is, they're always trying to save a penny.
Oh, yeah,
These
on the backs
companies,
of us, yeah.
Like mattress, it's not a big deal for a trucking company, but probably they don't care. If there's bed bugs, they would just kind of put you in there, right? They don't care. So the point, these are the things that need to be highlighted for truck drivers. And then I do feel
what about a washroom?
Yes, exactly. I do feel very strongly about this. Truck drivers become so selfless. They're like, whatever. It's okay. I'm fine. No problem. I don't want any more of this. So I think people in trucking, people like yourself, people who can speak well, kind of stand up for themselves, because you got a history too now. We're going to talk about this shortly. The point is, need to kind of stand up for themselves in trucking. And then there's, you use social media. People do nothing but complain about trucking.
Yes.
It's this. Who's going to fix? Nobody's going to fix it for you. You're going to have to fix it.
Who's solving it?
They're looking upon government.
Government's not going to do anything for us.
No, you need to stand up for yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and it's unfortunate, but every time truck drivers do stand up for themselves, and I learned this after Ottawa, There's always something to get arrested. I had no
And why is
idea.
that? So
I had no idea.
Okay, so let's bring your book in. So Bridgette is the author of Consequences Inside the Freedom Convoy. So she was one of the founding people who
I am the founder
triggered.
of the
So
truckers.
she's the troublemaker.
Yeah.
So, and then, I don't know, were there any consequences?
There's still
Personal?
are.
What are you charged with?
I have no charges.
There we go. So there's no consequences then.
There is.
Okay.
I don't have charges, and I believe that's because I don't have any political ties.
But I thought you were in politics, were you not?
I ran
As a provincial-
afterwards.
Afterwards, okay.
I never had any.
So let's make this
political
clear.
ties.
So you, historically, you had no political affiliation?
No, I'm just a trucker.
Just a trucker, and then the COVID hits, you find things to be unfair, you talk to fellow
I was
truckers.
terrified.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of us felt like that. I drove through COVID too myself.
Yeah.
So then you kind of talk to some fellow truck drivers, you guys form a group, and it ends up being one of the biggest protests Canada has seen.
Yes.
Is this true?
Yes, that's true.
Now, you can have your political views. You can be the person on the other side or person in support of the convoy. But the point is, triggering things like that requires a lot of leadership. You gotta be that one fine person who can deliver their thinking, their views, their point of view, opinions, and have people stand beside you. It is a huge, huge thing. Again, you can disagree with the protest. You can say whatever you want about it, but leadership is there.
It was there, and it was also the fact that this was a point in time where everybody felt the same, that nobody was listening. So that wasn't just a trucker thing, that was an everybody thing.
So why did truckers took the lead?
Because we were the last line of defense. So if you looked at the way they went through all those they were taking out slowly, and I was cheering for these people, come on, you can do it. Police, fire, ambulance, doctors, nurses. I'm like, what are you, out of your mind? You got people sick there, and you're telling doctors and nurses to go home? This is crazy. But because I was trucking on the other side, I was seeing how unafraid, unfrantic they were. They were walking around without masks, and we were like, couldn't breathe outside. We were going into our next lockdown, right? So they either had to shut up people like me, who was like, nah, it's not like that. That's not happening. Which I did get a 25-day sanction from Facebook for saying Florida was not closed, and the West Palm Beach News confirms I was right. Facebook. I have a problem with a guy in a high chair telling me I can't have my Facebook.
Which is totally fine.
So we were the last ones to sanction.
So now let's
Which is, in fairness, though, I understand. If you're giving injections to people, the last thing you want is your supply chain to drop dead, right? So I understand why we were last. But nowhere did I give up my right to work over a vaccine. Nowhere did I agree to that, ever.
Did you get any vaccines?
No, not a one.
So you stopped crossing into the U.S., I guess, then?
I had to.
Yeah,
I was out of work for a year.
Yeah, so if you don't get the vaccine, you can't cross into. So you were out of work for 1 year?
Yeah.
So you did the sacrifice.
I did the sacrifice. I did the hard no. I did not take one PCR test, not a one. I threatened a couple of different interesting ways that I could take it on film for them if that's what they required. But, I didn't take one.
Now, Bridgette, so you're a truck driver. You are in one of the male-dominating industries. And how do you cook this idea? I know truck drivers cook a lot of ideas. How do you cook this particular idea? So kind of briefly, of course, we don't have too much time.
Right.
Kind of run me through. So I'm thinking this. These people got involved with me, and what happened?
So I literally looked at my husband when Trudeau said, if you won't take a vaccine, you won't get on a train, a plane, or an automobile and sit beside the unvaccinated and put us at risk. I think that was the day we nearly lost our TV, because I stood up and I screamed back at the TV, and I'm like, oh no, we need a convoy. And my husband looks at me and goes, Convoys never work. You won't get truckers to agree on a free cup of coffee or a red truck. And like the color of a red truck. He's not wrong. Chris Barber also said the same.
And now who's this person?
He is the second truck driver to get involved. So, yeah.
I just want to make it easy for my audience, okay?
Yeah, Chris Barber's the second truck driver that got involved. Not the first person, not the first trucker, not the second trucker, just the second trucker. Maybe the third if you count my husband. But anyway, so I was going past Chris. Like if Chris was hemming and hawing, but I was on him.
And this person is based, Chris is based in
Saskatchewan.
In
Swift Current, Saskatchewan. Now he has charges, but he's related to political people.
I kind of researched this, yeah.
So, yeah. And Tamara's political. So she has charges. See what I mean? All those that had political entities have charges. I don't have that. So what happened is you get, as soon as you start getting momentum, more people start calling you. Now here I am, so naive. I think everybody's just willing to help. Oh no. People want to take it over for their organization and their organization. And then,
so basically hijacking the movement?
Yeah. So, but the core was there. We were against the mandates. We didn't want to be told we couldn't work. We were refusing to leave our jobs without any sort of social safety net. I mean, look at all the people that had to pay back CERB, right? Truck drivers weren't even allowed to get CERB.
Correct.
If they weren't vaccinated. So, no EI, no CERB. What did you want us to do?
Yeah, just go homeless?
Yeah, just go. Move to a cardboard box. It's okay. That's how little they thought of us.
Now, at this point, you kind of understood this. What's your first step?
Oh, I'm hounding social media. And, excuse me, I'm hounding social media. Chris gets involved on January 2nd. We're moving fast.
Oh, you guys are talking over...
over TikTok at first. Then we're exchanging emails. Then we're on the phone. And I'm doing that with Marie from Nova Scotia and Cindy.
And all of these people are truck drivers?
No.
They're not?
One I met, she was baking on TikTok, and I could smell it through the phone. She smelled like my grandmother's kitchen, right? And she had that European accent. And she was actually baking bread as gifts to her neighbors to bridge the gap between the unvaccinated and the vaccinated. Fantastic woman.
Nice.
Okay. Then you had Cindy that was running Calgary. She was doing a loop. Then we've got the Queensway Mommies, which is Jody Ledgerwood. Amazing woman, but she's still very active in the advocacy world, right? And then other advocacy groups, I had no idea who these people were. I had never been to a protest in my life. Had no idea.
So kind of apolitical?
Oh, I was mad at Trudeau, but yeah, other than him, I think he's the one that brought me to wanting to make a lot of change.
Now, I just kind of fast forward this.
Yeah.
So now you guys kind of get together. You guys are like-minded people. You guys have same thinking about these mandates. So now you let's go to Ottawa.
Actually, it wasn't me that wanted to go to Ottawa. I wanted to stay with the CBSA base, okay? Which was, we circled all around every border, making it heck for the truck drivers.
So put pressure on border patrols or...
Border patrols, cities, mayors. If it goes from the bottom up, it's not like from the bottom down where they're just pooping on you, right? Same in trucking. It always goes down to the bottom. So if we did it this way, these guys are all going to be pooping up, right? And when James Bowder got involved with his MOU, he literally lied to our group. He said he had everything.
Who's this person?
James Bowder. He's a runaway felon currently living in Texas because he's afraid of his charges in Ottawa.
Was he a truck driver too?
And not the, it's really hard to find out if he was a truck driver because at the POEC, I've been driving forever. He never nails down a date, never says how long he's had it. So I don't know.
Anyway, move on.
Right.
Okay.
So, but anyway, he lied to us. He told us he had all these resources. Turns out he didn't. It was everybody else that had the resources. He just had the
Now,
connections.
what are the resources we're looking for?
So like Chris Guerra, who was a Adopt a Trucker and was close to Ottawa, he could connect, everybody. We were supposed to have porta potties on the streets. Where were the porta potties? They weren't there. We were supposed to have parking. We were never supposed to park on Wellington. He never told me we're parking on Wellington.
So no, so it's logistics, right? Whole bunch of
Yeah,
logistics, right?
all the logistics he promised didn't show,
Mm-hmm.
which put us on top of the hill. And now he says, oh, well, everybody knew we were getting a parking ticket. No, man, I paid for parking. I didn't park on the street. I paid for parking. Why? Because that's the right thing to do. We were not supposed to be on the street.
Now, so you drove the truck there?
I couldn't drive my big truck because I was under load. I got sick and ended up being a day late. So I parked my truck in Windsor and it was under load, so it couldn't go anywhere. And
whose load was it?
It was a load for FedEx.
Anyway.
And they said, well, you missed the date, so now it's going to be February 3rd. Well, I'm like, okay, well, I'll go to Ottawa. We'll be done by then. And away we go. Well, we weren't done by then.
Mm-hmm.
So it sat in a secured yard, and my friend delivered the load because it was in his company's yard.
Mm-hmm.
He had a driver deliver the load.
Now, Bridgette, I just want you to kind of tell me, it was one of the big protests in modern days, one of those. And huge, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, Canadians are very
passive.
Well, they're too polite to even protest sometimes. you know what I mean?
I was one of them.
We used to make a joke in journalism school, like if you were going around with the microphone in Canada, like probably 9 out of 10 people would kind of shun you, be like, "Wow, just go away."
Right.
And if you're in the U.S. and you got a microphone in your hand,
they're like grabbing it from you.
They're like, "Oh, do you want me to say something? Like, what's the topic? What are you talking about? Yeah, you want to talk to me?" So it's like, it's like two different sorts of people,
yeah.
cultures of people, But anyway, so now some of the outcomes of the protest, of course, there's a lot of consequences, and I see the book right there. Do you think
that's just book one?
So you're writing another one?
It's a series. So inside the Freedom Convoy is a series. And I've literally had the lawyers hand me like gold keys to the city because they, some of them have said, well, I wasn't her client or she wasn't our client. So that means everything that they said to me during that time can now be put in the book. Thank you. So, so they should be a little worried. Every conversation, every text message, every email can all go in there. So I kind of worked on that.
It's just good, like the strongest source of anything is pen, in my opinion.
Right.
So if you're putting it on paper.
Yeah, this is the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Consequences is the foundation. The consequences of the mandates and what it did to the people. It talks about psychology. It talks about law. It talks about even aliens, which are being talked about right now. I'm like, this is weird. It talks about propaganda. It talks about polio vaccines, and there's a lot of history in there, including Japanese 1944, what happened to Japanese Canadians. So there's a lot of history in there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of information that maybe, somebody wouldn't have understood.
Mm-hmm. Now,
on what caused the
Bridgette,
convoy.
What difference did you guys make as a truck driver in the society, on the political spectrum, with the Freedom Convoy?
I believe we drew a line in the sand for any political entity for now and in the future. If you look, as soon as Mark Carney mentioned something about emergency powers, the internet blew up. I was like, what? You only need one tank for us? Are you going to steal our bank accounts? It took 3 years to get my bank account that was over across in the U.S. back. So, no, that's never going to be allowed again. And it doesn't matter if you like me or hate me, because it's very split. We won't stand for that again.
Mm-hmm. Now, it might be a tough question for you to answer, but I want you to think about it. Were there any people of color in the Freedom Convoy?
That is not a hard question to answer. Of course there were.
No, but in terms of truck drivers,
Yeah,
there were?
absolutely.
Really? Okay, well, tell me about it.
Okay, so we had a couple of guys that came from. Oops, sorry.
okay.
What a beep. We had a couple of guys from a blue company out of Brampton area. And you know what? Everybody, even if you look at the footage rolls, we have some Sikh drivers. And they're like, this is enough. We've had enough. We had Indian food being served to us. Oh, yeah. And I tell you, I love samosas. So anybody, anytime, I love samosas. So, I mean, they were there. Everybody was represented. Asian, white, African American.
Because, the reason I ask you
Indian.
this question is because this movement was given sort of like an angle of the right wing people getting together and there's no diversity. And it's only because, like I kind of care for trucking too. Like if you bring it down to trucking, I kind of feel sometimes there's two groups, whether you're from this group or that group, and you both hate each other. And they
Everybody
never,
does.
well, you never get to work together and you kind of bring about those rights that as a truck driver you should be given, but nobody, you're like, I hate you, you hate me, and then let's finish it off and like let the companies take advantage of us. You know what I mean?
I hear you completely. But here's the funny thing. So first off, they're calling them misogynistic. But who started it? A female. How am I misogynistic? I'm just hard on other female truckers. And it's not because I don't like them. It's because I want them to be the best they can be.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Then they're like, oh, they're racist. My sister's Pakistani. Like literally,
Mm-hmm.
my sister is half Pakistani, German and Pakistani. I don't know how that mix works, but anyway. So how am I a racist? It's in my own family,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, I mean, I don't know what else they called us, but I mean, I'm just looking at those two things and I'm like, well, that's impossible. So, are some of the other people that were known? Yeah, maybe. They have their personal views, but I don't think they're as harsh as the media made it out to be.
Bridgette, any last thoughts about trucking and any message for truck drivers out there?
Right now, we have a big law that needs the support of Canadian drivers. And I do agree that we need to teach drivers English. So if you're a non-English speaking driver, please go learn English because there is a lot of problems out there. Okay. And if you can't read the emergency road signs, it's a problem. And it's not just us we're trying to save you as well. Okay. Delilah's Law is coming forefront. She was a young woman that was injured by a non-domicile driver.
In Canada?
In the U.S.
In the U.S., yes.
I got to meet Delilah. I got to hear the story from her parents. We really need to support that in our industry. We also know that non-domicile truck drivers are being used, almost human trafficked in our industry.
Correct.
It needs to stop. It needs to stop now. And every government official should be on this. Every person should be writing to your provincial members of parliament, to your federal members of parliament. This needs to stop. We need to stop abusing workers in Canada.
Especially trucking.
And especially trucking. We are doing it in other industries. And if you look at the LMIA program and the complaints regarding it, we even have women complaining about sexual advances. Enough. The program's not working. It needs to be dismantled and restarted.
Bridgette, I want to thank you for your time and your input. We kind of touched upon a whole bunch of things.
We did.
Yeah, but at the same time, we tried to stay in time. I want to thank you for coming here and giving your perspective. Thank you for watching the show. We'll see you guys next Sunday.
Thank you.
If you are one of those truck drivers who is willing to say what they feel and see on the road or anywhere in the trade, please do contact us at info@thetruckstopshow.ca. Write us your phone number and we'll get in touch and bring you on the show.